Hello, my friends. Brian King here. Let's talk about self-advocacy. People can often oversimplify it and think it's just simply speaking up, as it's just asking for help when you need it. That, it's raising your hand and saying, hey, can you help me with this? But there are more complex situations where we need to self-advocate. And if you lack the skill set for self-advocating effectively, which a lot of our folks on the spectrum with ADHD have, it can go bad. So let me give you a scenario. Yesterday, my 15-year-old was sitting in the cafeteria at lunchtime and overheard some other kids close by talking about ADHD and autism and as it relates to video games. And one of the students characterized autism as a disease. Well, my son took issue with this because he's diagnosed with autism and he doesn't see himself as diseased at all. Part of that's due to good old dad here and what he's been preaching all these years. But what he essentially did, as far as he was able to report to us, is to say to the other student, hey, that's wrong. I'm a special needs kid. I have autism. I should know autism isn't a disease. Well, this other kid got very upset about being corrected, I imagine, and started yelling and insulting my son even more. So one of my son's concerns was that he believed this kid needs to change his mind about how he thinks about autism. And in a perfect world, that's exactly what would happen. But when it comes to self-advocacy in general, when you are just educating the public like that, we're not talking about educating an employer, educating a teacher, where we absolutely want to influence their thinking because it directly impacts us and our ability to get our needs met and be successful. But in this case, there's no value or there's no necessity to convince this other person to change their mind. If you just want to be informative, which is what we recommended for our son in this case, my wife and I, to simply, if he hears things like this again, to simply say, oh, excuse me, I overheard what you were saying about autism. Do you mind if I share my thoughts on this? You come in very calmly. You ask for permission to give your opinion. That's a much softer approach, and you don't come in as a threat. Because there are some people that are very passionate about this, and they will jump on somebody that mentions something that contradicts their beliefs. Well, the moment you jump on somebody and they become defensive, they're no longer listening to you, and you are essentially, after that point, monologuing to yourself. If you truly want to educate and inform somebody else, you need to come in a softer way so that they have an opportunity to hear you and stay calm around you. That's my preferred approach. And remember, you're not trying to convince them of anything. You're just simply giving them information based on your point of view that they maybe hadn't taken into consideration. And you leave them with that information and you move on with your day. That way, two people don't end up being upset because of the confrontation that maybe nobody even remembers. All they remember is that, hey, this person was yelling at me about this and it really pissed me off, and this is what I said back, and no sharing took place. So I understand how passionate we can be about this subject. I'm passionate about it. I've got 3 kids on the spectrum. I'm on the spectrum. I have these challenges. I work day in and day out with parents whose children are disenfranchised, who are cut out from the education system or the employment realm because of ignorance about what contribution they can actually make or what their abilities actually are. And it's that kind of ignorance that we really need to do something about, because our population is being shut out of living a full life, being able to be employed and contribute because of that ignorance. So we need to educate. But the way you educate needs to be in a way where your message will be heard. So that's the overall intent of what I'm sharing here. Hopefully this is good food for thought. We can absolutely continue this conversation just by making comments below this video. And if there happens to be somebody out there that you feel can value from this message, go ahead and share. I'm sure they'll appreciate it. This has been Brian. Thank you for watching. We'll talk again soon.